Welcome back to Great Day for this Tuesdays, and Tuesdays about this time we get a little political with our own party scoopers. We get a Republican and a Democrat in here with us. Jeff Flake joining us along with Craig Robinson, and a lot of things going on, and you can just feel the momentum starting to accelerate a little bit, Jeff.
It's crazy. I went away on vacation a couple weeks ago
for a month,
and we had a boring sort of race on the Democratic side, and things have changed dramatically in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think we've seen the Sanders campaign really take off. They've been generating huge crowds, not only in Iowa, but around the country. He was in Madison, Wisconsin, had a crowd of 10,000. But I think even more impressively, he was recently in Council Bluffs, not known as a Democratic bastion of Democratic support, and had 2,500 people show up at that event. So. You know, he's really got some momentum right now. People are really trying to kick the tires and see what the Sanders campaign is all about. But the Clinton campaign is coming back into the state today. They'll go to Iowa City, which will be very interesting given the strength that Sanders has shown recently, because it tends to be a very progressive area. One that you would think Sanders would do really well in, and then she's down to Ottumwa in southeast Iowa.
And she's doing her first national interview.
Yes, she's doing an interview with CNN. She's done several local interviews, and then this will be her first national interview today, and I think it's from Iowa City.
Mm-hmm. Most of her appearances have been very kind of controlled and perhaps scripted, I guess, without thinking of it maybe a better term. Are these going to start to open up a little bit, do you think?
Well, it'll be interesting to see if this Sanders surge sort of changes their strategy at all. I actually think they were smart to come in sort of low-key, make it more about listening and talking to people as opposed to just giving speeches. Mm-hmm. And sort of orating from on high, and I think that was a smart approach. But when you have these small events with discussions, and then you have Bernie Sanders now giving the big speeches and getting big crowds with energy, it'll be interesting to see if they hold to that same strategy.
Well, and it's been interesting to watch Sanders kind of take off in Iowa, where, I mean, he got attention right out of the gate when he was having crowds of 400 or 500 people. And then, you know, as Jeff noted, he has 2,500 people over in Council Bluffs, which is, I mean, it's the largest single candidate political event we've seen in the state this cycle. And so, you know, it really changes the dynamic of what the Hillary campaign needs to do. And so it'll be interesting to look. In politics, there's always going to be a race. You know, even though she's a clear favorite, she's still, you know, is above 50% in the polls in terms of Democrat support in the state. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, people want a choice, and right now Sanders is providing that choice. It's going to be interesting to me to see if people like Jim Webb or Martin O'Malley can get into the fray too, who are probably more of your mainstream type Democrat candidates. So it's a fascinating thing to watch just as a political observer.
Now, Jeff, do we know how many people are running for the Democratic office right now for president?
Well, right now I think we have four. We have Webb and O'Malley and Sanders and Clinton.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then on the Republican side, what are we up to?
We have to. So we're 4 times better.
Okay.
So we're going to get to 16. So
do you have to keep that on a list somewhere? You can't just remember.
Do you want to know what? It's funny, as I write about the race and cover the race, I always tend to forget about certain candidates, and it's interesting. It's just like once someone will rotate and just fall off. That's not in my mind. And so, you know, this a couple weeks ago, I was forgetting someone like Rand Paul just because he hadn't been here a lot. Mm-hmm. And then, but you know, so it's interesting to see kind of how the large field, even, you know, you forget about them because there's so many people to keep track of and to cover and to be thinking about.
Are they going to keep on adding on here? Do you think?
No, I think we get to 16 and we're done.
Is that the limit?
I'm praying that it's the limit. You know, look, 16 is too many, to be honest with you. And so my fear is what winnows the field before we go and cast our preference at the caucuses. And you know, there's been some polling out there and some news coverage, and they ask Iowans, well, how are you going to make up your mind? And they're like, well, I'm going to wait for this to kind of settle out, and then I'll make my choice between who's serious. Well, when you go first, and there's nothing that's really going to boot any of these candidates out. You have to actually take charge and be part of that winnowing process.
The caucus is really going to be interesting. Now, have you done both sides of the caucus?
over the years,
because this is going to be interesting to see how they do it. Because have you done both sides, Jackie, or not? Because they do it in the same premise is there, but they do it in two different styles.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, one like the Democratic side, it's more of a group. Hey, why don't you come over with me and do
Right,
this?
you stand up and move to a different part of the room.
And you get into your own little social group. And on the Republican side, it's you write down names
and you want to get out of there.
Right, get out. Well, the other debate, literally, as we read in today's U.S. Today, is going to be the continuing question of what they're going to be doing with these debates. If they're only allowing 10 at a time, is that going to be accurate? Is it going to be a cattle call? Is it just going to be a hot match?
Well, and I think my fear is that we're not going to learn anything from these candidates.
Right.
Yeah, even with 10 candidates on the stage and you have an hour-and-a-half debate, you're not giving anyone enough time to make their case. And so I really wish that instead of trying to limit the field, Republicans should be having interesting debates over different topics that maybe apply to certain candidates. You know, we have all these governors and former governors who are running. Let's have a debate amongst the governors to talk, you know, so that maybe you can, I think that'd be a fascinating debate. I think I would learn something from that debate. Maybe you have a debate with people that have more federal experience, and then you mix it up and go on. But I mean, we're trying to apply one, you know, everyone has to fit into this one cog. We can only fit 10 podiums across the stage, and you know, at the end of the day, we're going to have some candidate who's going to only have 3 minutes of speaking time in a debate over an hour and a half.
So are they doing the right thing by having Ted Cruz come out to Smoky Row and talk to people? Is that how?
Well, at the
They're
end of the
gonna get
day, I
people's
think
attention?
that's what matters in Iowa. Is I think that you better have a campaign that's engaged in Iowa, and you better be talking to voters in these early states directly.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground, and really spending some time. And you look at it, you know, you got candidates that have visited like 25 counties. Rick Santorum, Mike Huckabee have. A guy like Rand Paul's visited 19 counties in Iowa. But then, you know, you go to like Marco Rubio, who's a big name in this race. I mean, as of today, I think he's been to 2 Iowa counties. He's got work to do. Now he's going to change that here over the course of a couple next days, but I mean, he's going to go to 7. This is the first time people are really getting to see him, and you're not that far away from a caucus where they really need to figure out if we're going to get a message across to Iowans, if we're going to compete here, they got to invest some time here.
Now, how many counties
6 months.
is Hillary going to be visiting today? Do you know?
She's going to be in Wapello County and Johnson County. I don't know what her total number of counties is. This is her 4th visit to the state.
My big question is there going to be like a mobile rope line around her that we saw in the parade?
I missed the parade, so.
Did she really have a rope around?
Well, no, they had a rope around the media.
She'll be
They were like lassoed.
You
She'll be
can't.
in a
Well, the
Oldsmobile.
media is
You can't come
understandable.
over
so-
here.
I would love to have done that, but to me,
All
it's
right, well,
funny.
good. Well, we'll just keep an eye on that. Well done, gentlemen. We'll see you next week at 7:30. We'll be back. This is a great day.